Welcome to r/relationship advice, where these people's ex-spouses won't stay out of their lives. This first story comes from someone whose ex-wife wants to come back 3 years after leaving him and the kids. 3 years ago, my wife was planning on cheating with me with another man. I saw some of the signs and caught them sexting. She felt like our life wasn't what she wanted. We divorced and ended up leaving for the other man. Our 3 kids at the time felt abandoned. I got the house and sole custody of the kids, and she didn't make much effort to see the kids. Granted, they didn't want to see her and were quite vocal about it. Since then, the kids seem to be doing better, but still I feel like they miss their mom, especially my younger twin boy. I've seen my ex-wife a handful of times since then, and I moved on in the sense that I've slept with other women since then, but I'm not dating and don't plan on it until the kids are all done with high school at least. Recently, I learned the man my wife ran off with is now a bankrupt alcohol abuser. She left him and went back to living with her parents. She came over this weekend when the kids were with my brother at his cottage and talked with me, basically pleading for me to take her back, how she made a mistake and lost her savings, the money from the divorce, her kids. She wants to work hard towards us getting back together and raising our kids together. I listened to her, but I didn't really say much, and she left back for her parents' house. The whole situation has my head spinning. On one hand, I want her back so much, and I think with time, the kids would appreciate having their mom back. The other women I've been with are good, but there's always a feeling of something missing. But also, I wonder if she only came back because that man became what he is today. Even if we get back together, I don't plan on getting married to her, at least not right away, and if we did, there would definitely be a prenup. I'd want her to stay with her parents and slowly integrate herself back into mine and my kid's life. There's also the problem that I don't know if I can even accept her. Part of me looks at her as used goods. I know that's bad. We probably need both couples and family therapy. Thinking about the future right now is difficult. I have so many variables to account for. If she left again, what kind of damage would that do to the kids or myself? I just came on here to gain an outsider's perspective. Dude, in my opinion, I don't even see how you're considering this. She'll probably just go and do the same thing again once she regains comfort in the relationship. Don't do it. Our second story comes from someone who is expecting a newborn soon, but their ex-husband won't stop freaking out about it. My ex and I married fairly young. We were each other's only partner and just simply outgrew each other. We divorced in 2016, and 1 year later, I started dating my current partner. The only reason my ex and I are still in contact is because of our dog. We had 2 dogs when we were married, and during the initial separation, he took one and I took the other. He couldn't take care of the dog he took and gave her to his parents without asking me about it. I would have taken her, and then regretted it and threw a fit about not being able to see the other dog. It ended up going to court as part of the divorce proceedings, and now I have to take the dog to see him 1 weekend a month. If you hadn't guessed by now, his being a man-child was part of the reason we divorced. I always wanted kids. He didn't, and he was way too immature and emotionally stunted to have kids anyway. My current partner also always wanted kids, but was widowed young and didn't date again for almost 10 years after his wife died. He'd been widowed for 15 years when we met. We started trying for a baby after getting engaged in December and ended up getting pregnant pretty much right away, and our baby is due in November. I intentionally didn't mention this to my ex. I use social media very rarely, and we have chosen not to announce on social media until after the baby is born. On Saturday, we met up for the scheduled dog visit, which was the first time he'd seen me in a month. Because I'm fairly tall, it took a long time to actually look pregnant, and now I do, 25 weeks. When I saw him, he lost his mind. He went on this tirade about how this was evidence that I was cheating on him and how I never really loved him at all because I let the first person who came along knock me up. I was like, okay, wow, I am not engaging in this conversation. I'm only here to let you see the dog. Bye. So I left, and since then, he's used various masked phone numbers and sock puppet accounts to harass and threaten me. I keep blocking them as they come up, but I am stressed and don't know what to do about it. We have generally had a cordial relationship before, but now I'm like, what the f***? I should just say, this dude and this stupid court-ordered dog visitation and never speak to him again, right? Honestly, OP, if it were up to me, I would keep very close tabs on everything that happens, collecting as much evidence as possible to report him to the police for his hostility and gain full custody over the dog. Then you really don't have to see him again. In this final story, The ex of the fiance of our original poster was sent their sex tapes, and they made the terrible mistake of watching them. My fiance, 27 male, and I, 29 female, just got engaged a week ago. I proposed to him when I heard from our friends that he was sad that his proposal plans were ruined by COVID. We have been very happy this past week. I guess this caught the attention of his bitter ex, 28 female. She contacted me on social media and sent me a few videos and said that even though I may be marrying him, I would never be able to satisfy him sexually the way she did. For some background, early on in our relationship, I was a bit insecure about this ex, especially how attractive she was, but my fiance assured me that he would never ever consider being with her again because she was abusive and used to force him into things he did not like. I soon grew out of these insecurities because my fiance was an amazing boyfriend and always made me feel loved and very secure. But the ex's message brought back all of these insecurities, and I decided to watch the videos she sent. It was a huge mistake. I have never seen my fiance so passionate and vocal during sex with me. She even had a video of her giving him a BJ in a public place. I never knew he was into all that stuff. I got really upset and decided to check if he had kept any of these videos on his phone. Turns out he hadn't kept any of them, but I found messages discussing them with his best friend Sarah. Apparently, his ex had sent these tapes to him as well to remind him how good it was between them. He had deleted them right away and blocked her, but was debating whether or not to tell me about this, and thus asked Sarah's advice. The conversation somehow turned into Sarah asking who was better sexually. My fiance tried to evade the question, but she pressed the issue for some reason. It looked like she was teasing him and was being playful, but after a while, he got mad and sent her a mini rant. The important gist of it was basically this. If you look at it from a purely physical perspective, then yeah, X was better. She was more my type physically and sexually. She was very aggressive and passionate and always took the initiative, which I liked, and she gave one hell of a BJ. But she was also abusive, and towards the end, she started using sex as a tool, and instead of feeling loved, it became a desperate attempt for me to connect with her. Sex with her made me realize that sex was not just about the physical aspect. I feel loved and secure and happy when I'm with her. Even if she is less my type compared to X, the emotional connection means that the sex is automatically great. Although the second half of this rant somehow saves it, I still feel really hurt by his admission that sex was better with her. He did tell me that he liked me being aggressive and taking initiative, and I do try to be more like that, but once things start happening, I end up becoming more passive and let him take the lead. I know I can try being more aggressive, but I'm afraid I can never be as good as her, and I can never be the kind of girl that can give public BJs. Now I wonder if he settled for me despite not enjoying sex as much with me. Logically, I know I don't have to be the best at everything for my fiance, but it hurts because he is the best boyfriend I have ever had in all aspects that I can think of, and I always thought our sex life was amazing. Now I feel like I just got lucky because I was the first person he dated after that abusive POS, and the bar was set so low that he decided that our relationship was amazing enough to make up for the fact that I was not as good at sex as she was. I feel sad and hurt, and I don't know what to do. The ex managed to ruin what was supposed to be one of the happiest periods of my life. I don't know how to bring this up to my fiance without sounding like a nut with no self-control who thought it was a good idea to watch the videos and snoop on his phone. Update. As for the update, after posting here and reading the advice and reflecting on my actions, I realized what I did was wrong and a violation of my fiance's privacy. I allowed my insecurities to dictate my actions. Even though my fiance is okay with me using his phone, my intent to snoop made what I did wrong, so I decided to just come clean. I sat him down the next day and told him that the ex sent me the videos as well, and also came clean about the snooping. He was pretty upset, but surprisingly he wasn't that upset with the snooping. He seemed more upset that his ex had somehow managed to cause drama once again in his life. He told me that he hadn't watched any of the videos because in a majority of them, he was uncomfortable with recording them and only did it for her, and was afraid if watching it made me look at him in a bad way. This made me feel even shittier for what I did, and I apologized again and reassured him that they did not in any way lessen my feelings or respect for him. I wanted him to have some time to process things and decided what to do about the ex and what I did, so I gave him some space. That night, I decided to cook his favorite meal as a sort of apology dinner and discuss things. He seemed in a much better mood. He apologized to me for not telling me about the tapes right away and for being an idiot and not realizing that she would come after me when he had blocked her. He told me he appreciated me coming clean about the snooping and understood how I got carried away and that I could have just talked to him and he would have given me his phone and reassured me that he hadn't kept any of the videos. I asked if he was going to press charges regarding revenge porn, and he told me that he wanted nothing to do with her and that we should just move on and enjoy our engagement and forget the whole thing. I told him it was completely his choice and I support him and would delete the videos and block her right away. Finally, I brought up the text and he apologized to me for the rant. He told me that was the first time in a long time that he had actually thought about who was better and that he had never actively compared me with any of his exes before. He told me he should have just answered it with a simple, "My fiance is better," and tried to apologize again. I told him that he didn't have to sugarcoat anything and that it was his private conversation with a friend and I have no right to be mad when he wasn't really disrespectful about me or our sex life. I also told him that it was okay if she was better and I didn't have to be the best at everything. He explained to me that after talking to Sarah, he thought more about it and that he hadn't really expressed his thoughts well in the text, but he would like to explain it better. "You are the best I have had. I am not lying or sugarcoating anything. If someone asked me who is the most skilled or the most adventurous sexual partner that I have had, then yeah, it would probably be her. But that doesn't really matter because if someone asked me what was the best sex I have ever had, my first thought would be the time when we had sex right after you asked me to marry you. And then it would be the night when you first told me you love me, and third would be the time when we had sex in the kitchen the day I moved in. For all her skill and experience, she couldn't even make the top 3, and we have the rest of our lives to make sure that she doesn't even come near the top 100. So no, I'm not lying when I say you are the best I have had. I am not going to lie. Despite what I said about not needing to be the best, just hearing what he said, maybe I butchered the quote, he was so much more charming and eloquent, made me really happy. So I kissed him and asked him if he wanted to try and break into the top 3 again. Then we had sex. I didn't really specifically try to be more aggressive, but I tried to focus more on what he was feeling to reassure myself that he was enjoying it as much as I did. That naturally allowed me to be the one in the lead, and it was great. I could tell that he really enjoyed it as well. Good job, OP, for being able to self-reflect and turn the conflict around for the better. Best of luck moving forward.